Prime 2032.
Hello and welcome back. I hope everyone today is okay. Today's video is called The 10 of the Weirdest Things Only in Japan. Without further ado, let's do this.
Weird things that only exist in Japan. Japan is home to iconic pop culture, like Super Mario,
Yay,
and
Super
intriguing
Mario.
curiosities like ramen noodle bathhouses. But it's also home to some of the weirdest wildlife in the world. From giant salamanders to screaming crows of doom. These are weird things that only exist in Japan. Number 10. Creatonatos gangus. Despite having a name that sounds like something Doctor Strange would utter under his breath when casting a spell or incarnation, the Creatonatos gangus is very much real. This strange and nasty looking moth exists in Japan, but it has also been found in India and Indonesia. This absolutely has to be one of the weirdest things in Japan, and for a place with a cuddle cafe, a poop museum, and wasabi Kit Kats, that's really saying something. But despite their strangeness, they're beautiful things. As caterpillars, they stand out from the crowd with a bright yellow racing stripe down their back, and grow into these shockingly bright red moths with age. There are a few that keep the yellow coloring in adulthood, but they are even rarer than the red. Number 9. Tardigrade. When it comes to weird, not even some of the other creatures on this list will outweird this little fella. Japan is home to a decidedly unique little creature called the tardigrade, though among its many other titles are water bear and moss piglet. So what exactly are these strange little things? Tardigrades are microscopic, resilient organisms that might just outlive the sun. Seriously, these things are insanely durable. People make cracks about cockroaches being able to survive a nuclear explosion, but these things make cockroaches look frail as glass. Because of this, the tardigrade is often nicknamed the indestructible animal. They're able to survive extreme conditions that would be rapidly fatal to nearly all other known life forms, such as exposure to extreme temperatures, extreme pressure, air deprivation, radiation, dehydration, starvation, and even exposure to outer space. If only Peter Parker had been bitten by a radioactive one of these, he'd be unstoppable. Kazuharu Arakawa, a researcher at Tokyo's Keio University, picked up a tardigrade specimen when he was gathering samples from the parking lot of his apartment building in Tsuruoka City, Japan. He plucked a clump of moss protruding from the concrete and took it back to the lab for testing. After finding the microanimal and analyzing its DNA, Arakawa and his Polish colleagues reproduced the tiny tardigrade. What sets this new species, named Macrobia shiniacus, apart from the others is its chunky legs and bumpy eggs. Number 8. Tsunami spirit animal. But not all of Japan's weird creatures have been caught, analyzed, and well documented. Some are truly elusive, defying all expectations. This next thing is hard to describe. It may not even be real. We're not ruling out a hoax. But take a look. From the floodwaters of a tsunami in a Japanese city, what appears to be some kind of water spirit leaps forth into the air. It floats ethereally to the roof where it soon disappears. Some trick of the light perhaps? Maybe. But it soon reappears, continuing to another house. As of now, this remains unexplained and mysterious. Just maybe, water ghosts exist in Japan. To be fair, if I was a creature made of water who lived in Japan, I would also jump out of the ocean and race to the rooftops, because Japan's oceans are home to some of the weirdest of all their weird creatures. Let's take a look at some of these nightmare-inducing hellbeasts, starting with an old favorite.
Going back with the tardigrade, why would they want to reproduce it? For what benefit? That's weird. Very weird.
Number 7. Giant squid. In a Japanese port, onlookers spotted what you could have mistaken for the Kraken itself, an impossibly giant squid, nicknamed Heck, as in holy heck, that's a big squid. This massive invertebrate was a colossal 12 feet long. These giant squids are more common than the squeamish among you may like, and sometimes turn up in Japanese fishing nets by mistake. But when they do, they're often dead. To find a live one is far rarer. Like every animal, scientists had to go and give it a boring fancy name like Hugus calamarius, though of course that's not actually it. The giant squid's real formal name is Archaeotheus, and they are sometimes described as one of the last mysteries of the ocean, being part of a world so hostile to humans that it has been little explored. Dive shop owner Akinobu Kimura, who has wrestled with a live Hugus calamarius himself, was quoted as saying, "Its suckers were so strong that I felt some pain. Even though I was trying to let it escape from the port, it wrapped around my body and clung to my arm." Number
Wow.
6. Goblin sharks. It seems most of Japan's weirdest creatures are sleuthing around in its waters, just waiting to swim right into your nightmares. If you weren't put off from swimming in Japan's oceans by the promise of a giant squid sucking onto you like there's no tomorrow, you'll be put off now. It's known by several names, including Mitsukurazami and Tenguzami, but the most notable is goblin shark. And you just know if something is called a goblin shark, it's not going to be good news. It's like meeting someone called Captain McStab you in the face. You run from that captain, you run far, and you run fast. These terrifying little beasties look like the god of the sharks threw up his arms after a long night and said, "Stuff it. Make the next one horrific." Goblin sharks are technically found in places other than Japan, such as Hell and the Nightmareverse, but Japan has the most cases of people actually catching them, but usually it's by accident. Goblin sharks live deep below the ocean surface, as far down as 4,000 feet, and seeing as they can grow up to 20 feet long and 460 pounds, they and their creepy faces can stay down there. With their jagged barbed wire-like teeth, saw blade-like nose, and madman eyes, you do not want to be messing with these guys. Number 5. Megamouth shark. For all you allurophobes, it sadly doesn't stop with the goblin sharks. Meet the megamouth shark, an extremely rare species of deep-water shark that makes Jaws himself look like a kitten by comparison. They are rarely
Wow.
seen by human eyes, and since their discovery in 1976, coincidentally 1 year after the film Jaws was released, real-life specimens have been caught or seen fewer than 100 times. However, some fishermen got the shock of their life when they did catch
Really?
one. Again, like a lot of things on this list, by mistake. The extremely rare creature was reportedly caught in fishing nets around 5 kilometers from Owase Port in Mie Prefecture. Located in the southern central region of Japan's main island, it weighed around a ton, according to Yahoo Australia, was an estimated 5 meters in length and eventually bought by a local fishmonger.
The problem is if we keep taking life from the sea, nothing will be left. You know, they're there for a reason. We don't need to study them and kill them and study them. Leave them be. They're fascinating creatures and they're there for a reason. What reason? Maybe they're just to keep the sea pure. Who knows? But we got to stop. We have to stop.
Number 4. Karasu. By this point you're probably thinking, well, it seems all the weirdest stuff is in the ocean. I'll just stay away from the water when I visit Japan and I'll be safe. Well, think again, because the sky is also home to its fair share of terrifying mayhem, including crows. And before you comment below and say, crows aren't a big deal, crows are everywhere, these are no silly little crows. When Japan does something, it does it multiplied by 1 billion. It's a go big or go home kind of place, and that even extends to its bird life. I mean, look at these things. Harbingers of death if you ever saw them.
It's like an eagle.
Known as karasu, these 2-foot-long monstrosities can be found all
2
over
foot
Japan.
long.
And if you hear one caw, you might want to worry, because to quote a Japanese proverb, the cawing of a crow presages some calamity. Number 3.
2 foot.
Pink thing. We have no idea what this thing is, and neither it seems to the guys in this clip. Racing over to the water's edge, they spot the most peculiar life form. Not sure what to make of it, they engage in a tried and tested scientific experiment renowned the world over.
Why is it that when they find a creature, I don't know what it is, they have to film it with bad cameras? Surely that can't be the image they took from their phone. Surely not. Before we know it's a hoax because you can't see what it is. It's mental.
They poke it with a stick. The strange creature seems to quiver in response and react, suggesting it's still alive. There are some people online saying this is fake. We'd love to
That's
hear
what I
your
think
take
too.
on it. Is this another one of Japan's many strange and wonderful creatures? Or is it yet another of the many hoaxes clogging up YouTube? Normally we'd say hoax. It's best to err on the side of skepticism. But given all the other weird, wonderful, and crazy animals there seem to be in Japan, if there is anywhere this could exist, it's there. Number 2. Coconut crabs. Despite the somewhat cute name, coconut crabs are horrifically terrifying. No crab should be this big. A species of terrestrial hermit crab, also known as the robber crab or palm thief, it is the largest land-living
That
arthropod
looks
in
massive.
the world. With a weight of up to 4.1 kilograms and a length of about 3
Look at
feet,
the guy's hand.
I never want to see
To
one
the crab.
ever. They get their name
Oh
from their
my
tendency
God.
to climb trees in order to swipe the coconuts from the top, which they easily crack open in their gargantuan claws. Though they mainly seem to live off the tasty white fruit, they have occasionally been caught stalking and killing birds for raw meat. Number 1.
That thing there, it must be a good 3 foot long, surely. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine that button on your foot?
Giant salamander. There was simply no way we were going to get through a list of some of the many weird animals you can find in Japan and not mention the giant salamander. They're one of the most notorious. We're sure you've seen footage of one before, but actually imagine seeing one in the slimy flesh. These truly unique beasts look like an ancient dragon squished in a high-gravity environment. Reaching upwards of 4.7 feet and able to live as long as 50 plus years, they are remarkable if somewhat daunting creatures. Japan's giant salamanders are the largest amphibians in the world. Though did you need me to tell you that? Look at the things. You could rent a room out in one of them.
Crazy.
They typically spend their time in the rivers of northern Kyushu and western Honshu, blending in with stones and mud, because if there's one thing you want a giant, scary salamander to do, it's hide. If you see one, whatever you do, don't scare it. As a first line of self-defense, it will hit you with a sticky, milk-like substance. So not only are they massive, they're also disgusting. Of Japan's many unique and, let's be blunt, weird creatures.
That was a very interesting video for sure. Yeah. Like I said, we shouldn't be hunting the sea for starters. I mean, they want to mine at the bottom of the ocean. Where does it stop? Where does it stop? Mental. Great video. Next time. Love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.
Which is the one you'd least like to find in your backyard? And which do you think is kind of cute and you'd be okay with petting? Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on screen right now. See you next time.